Ooh. Ooh.
Oh shoot! I accidentally emoted. I accidentally emoted.
Hmm.
What? What?
Two viewers. Who might this be? Is one of them me? I think one of them's me. But anyway, let's get this party started.
I'm not playing Steel right now. Oh, it's modded. Perfect.
Oh, I remember what I need to do. I need to change the chat. The links in the chat. I forget how to do that. It's been a while. Hmm. What am I going to put in there? Hmm. Let's see. I'll worry about it later.
There's a gaming code for Pebble,
Anyway.
and it says Lost.
Uh-oh, they're back.
Seriously.
Oh, man.
Music time.
Like before or during?
After.
Oh, after?
Like this is me. Looks nice. He just
Yeah, I
emoted.
mean, willingly allow someone to poke holes in our skin isn't something that's like natural to.
I prepared for one.
Just remember, Jaina, you can poke holes anywhere on your face, but not on your belly button. It's important that people see it. That's what's important.
Yes, I am. I just passed you.
I mean, sometimes you'll get mad when you say this, but I think it's tough out there for the young heterosexual men right now in the world. And I think that there's like a category of them that are like really hot and thoughty that do well on the social media age. But like I think that there's like a big middle
But that's not what I'm saying.
where
I'm
they're
talking
not
about.
getting complimented, they're not getting positive feedback, they're not getting asked out really, they're not getting flirted with, so I think they could use a little positive reinforcement.
I do remember the first time a woman said, "I have a crush on you" to me. My immediate reaction was like, "That's not how it works. I'm supposed to have a crush on you."
Yeah.
And then we dated for a bit, and it was lovely, and she was great. Drank a
Are
lot
you
of
getting
tea.
any compliments?
You know what?
Probably from old ladies, because you're out on the campaign trail, and so you've got a lot of Aunt Marys that are kind of squeezing your cheeks, being like, "You're so cute. You're running for office." You are probably getting a lot of positive feedback like that.
Yeah, I thankfully do get a good number of older Jewish women trying to connect me with their grandchildren.
Have you had any luck with that?
I tend. That's not the arena, that I'm.
He's
looking
fucking
at.
busy, dude.
You're
He's not
dating
trying to date right now.
Gentiles?
He's
What do you mean that's
No,
not
no,
the arena?
no. Just on the campaign trail, you can't mix those.
He's
But
busy.
I'll
This
say.
is
Where else are you going to meet a woman besides the campaign trail? You're running for
He
office.
can win and then deal with it.
I don't think so. Maybe you'll meet a lucky
Campaigning
lady.
and dating at the same time? Are you fucking joking?
I think you absolutely should be campaigning and dating at the same time. It'd be a good outlet for your mind. Get your mind thinking about something else. You don't always be thinking about the direct mail art.
Dante,
know?
bring the thumbs down buzzer from the Tim thing back.
Yeah.
No.
No, but I'll say that as a straight guy, you get one compliment maybe every 14 months or so, and you sort of hold on to that until the next one.
I gotta tell you, I think you're gonna be getting some dating requests from this here YouTube video right now. Cam
These
gets them.
happen, yeah.
Cam gets them.
Really?
People get to reach out.
People do reach out. Everybody, for a much shorter amount of time, we're going to do a quick segment of Cam's advice. Ding, ding, ding.
Why
Cam's
are we
advi-
dinging again?
What?
What was the ding?
I've just really been into sound effects.
Okay.
Sound effects are
okay.
big on Instagram.
Yeah.
Cam's advice to people. Give your male friends compliments about their looks and their character and things like that. A lot of guys are not very used to that kind of positive reinforcement, and I think that it is very good for how they treat themselves and how they treat others, two things that are inextricably tied. And if you're a dude and if you're like a straight dude, you got another straight dude friend, it isn't wrong to like say nice things about how he looks today, compliment his outfit, compliment his hair. That's the type of stuff that we need more.
It's not gay.
My-
It's not gay to tell your friend he looks handsome.
No, it's the cool thing to do, and it makes the friendship deeper. My like mostly straight bros group chat and I, you don't have to do this. This is a little much, but we almost always say "love you" at the end of phone calls
That's nice.
because we fucking love each other.
That's nice.
Two more, and then,
I'm gonna have a couple bonus ones at the end, so we should go fast.
okay, fast speed round. Okay, this is more of a theory, but it's very interesting. Wonder why the good men don't approach you? Here's why I think this is and how to fix it. So many women have expressed frustration about being approached by, quote, the wrong guy, often labeling these men as creeps. Understandable, but might worsen the problem. Men used to be more comfortable approaching women. Over time, as women began publicly feeling more supported, voicing discomfort, and labeling certain behaviors as creepy, a shift occurred. Good-hearted guys started to withdraw so as to not make women uncomfortable, and less considerate guys don't give a shit about whether or not they're making women uncomfortable, so they approach anyway. Now, most of the guys who approach women are the less considerate types, thus putting women in a position where the good dudes to rotten dudes ratio seems off. And it's worth also considering in our answers to this that in Matt and my generation, dudes are definitely a lot more concerning.
Concerning.
Do you ever have you ever like just done a cold, like offer your digits to a gal out in public?
I don't think so. No.
It's my advice to the youth, the young men. It's charming. You get out a pen. Are you ready for this? A pen. Like an ink pen.
Like a feather quill?
And you get like a receipt or something, a piece of paper, you rip it out, and you put your phone number on there. You just go up to the lady, the gal, the young woman, and you're like, hey, you're cute. Here's my number.
Yeah.
And
Are
she
you
can-
saying anything? While
No, hey, you're cute. Here's my number.
Hey, I
And
just
then
met you, and
you-
this is crazy.
See, but here's
but
my
here's
number.
my number,
so
so
call me maybe. Yeah, I would probably wouldn't sing the whole Carly Rae Jepsen song, but I would do the Carly Rae Jepsen song thing and walk away with a little bit of just like a little bit of like cute nervousness. And I think that would signal that you're not one of the douchey guys. That you're a little nervous about it. You're excited. It's a compliment. There's no risk really. What's the worst that can happen? You never get the text. Who cares? There's no embarrassment. That's what we did back in the day, and it feels like that would still be a pretty applicable
Wait,
effort.
okay, we're gonna zoom back in time segment here on FY Pod. Let's talk to straight Tim
Well,
Miller.
Yeah.
Did you ever
whoever's
give
in here watching,
a
thanks
woman
for
your phone
joining.
number, or have you only given
no,
it to men?
fucking, of course not. I'd never give a woman my phone number. I was in the closet and trying to hide from women.
Just
as much as
remember,
I
possible.
leave
Under
the,
women
uh,
pressure. I did kiss women,
hold
but
on.
like, accidental. It's
That's
like
loud.
it's like
I typically leave the direction of the chat up to, or the direction of the conversation up to the people in chat, so let me know if you got a question, or if it's something you want to talk about.
I got into a situation. You know what I mean? I didn't try.
You couldn't blow your cover.
Yeah.
I've approached a woman, cold approach, one time. I saw a lady who I thought was very pretty at Washington Square Park. And I was with a group
I
of
am
3
right
other
now
people. I
trying
would not
to
have done this if I were alone.
Yeah.
And she was with a group of people. And one of the things I
Change
love
some
about
chat
Washington
settings,
Square
and I
Park,
can't
it's
remember
kind
how
of
to do it.
everything to love about
So
New
bear
York
with me
City.
here.
There's just people hanging out and like fucking around and doing stuff. And it's the cool thing about being surrounded by other human beings. And I grabbed my buddy who had a mustache that I did not think his face worked with. I didn't
Yeah.
think it was the right mustache. And I
Yeah.
grilled him for it. And I said, hey man, can I throw you under the bus? Can you take one for the team? And he said, what do you mean? I was like, I need your blind loyalty. And he said, okay. And I walked up to this lady and her group of friends. And I said, hey, I'm so sorry to bother you guys. Help me out here. You're never going to see this guy again in your life. You can the best thing you could do is give your honest opinion. He's got a shave, right? And then they were like, no, he looks so good, blah, blah. And our two groups ended up merging. And just the mega group ended up hanging out for like 2 hours. And then at the end, I just exchanged Instagrams with everybody and then DM'd
kiss?
the one specific girl
Was there a kiss?
the next day.
Was it
Good,
kiss?
But I
good
made-
strategy.
See,
I made her
that is
watch-
that's a great strategy. The problem is for nervous boys with the Instagram exchange, you got to stand there. If you're a nervous boy, you do have to stand there. Everybody's got to take their phone out. It's uncomfortable. If you get rejected, you're getting rejected right there in person. Like the number slide takes the stakes down a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I
I-
guess I gotta get a friend with a mustache.
I should have done this before I started the stream.
You
Now
can
that I think about
find
it.
a friend with a beard and just tell them to take one for the G. Yeah, and I will say, you do have to make sure that you have a
But
normal
anyway,
looking Instagram
there's a video
and
playing,
you're not
so you're not
posting
bored.
weird stuff on it. I'm an exception for a variety of reasons.
As a content creator.
As a content creator, that's definitely like much. I think it hurts me a lot more than people might think.
I think you're doing fine out there. I'm a little bit worried about Matt though.
Matt,
I
no,
appreciate
I'm
your
You're
on
not
Matt's
doing
side.
cold approaches. You're not dating on the campaign trail. You're not accepting setups from Jewish mothers or grandmothers.
Okay, I'm sorry. When you were a fucking comms director, if you found out that the candidate that you were working for was just going on dates,
Hell yeah.
hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Get out there. I'm a lover, Cam. I want people to go out there and, canoodle. Life is short.
True.
Life is short, you know? You don't want to find yourself. You don't want to be one of those guys that are in the state legislature, and then next thing you know, you want to be the speaker. And you're like, I can't date until I'm the speaker, but then next thing you know, you're 38. You're alone.
Yeah.
You're eating ramen in your apartment in Annapolis. And you think you've got everything you wanted as the Speaker of the Maryland House, but it turns out you're lonely.
Is there a
I don't want that
contact-
future for you.
I can't wait to think back to this conversation in like 30 years. You ever read the Robert Caro LBJ books?
I pretended to read them.
The ones that are like 3,000
yeah,
pages long.
skimmed. Read some articles about them.
Yeah, it was the Senate Majority Leader. I forgot his name. Who
Mitchell?
lived this? I forgot who it was.
Mitchell. Do you have any more? Because I have some men questions for him.
No, that was
Sure.
what I
What's
put.
your workout routine? Are you working out? Are you lifting at all?
Yeah, I do 5 days a week. By back, legs, shoulders.
Sorry, by and back,
By back 1 day.
legs and shoulders.
Leg,
the
shoulders
next day.
and then chest and tris 3rd day.
Watch out, Wes Moore, the
I'm
next
trying.
most
And
yoked
are
guy
you
in
doing, are
Maryland.
you doing that alone? Or are you going to a gym? You have a trainer?
Yeah, I go to a gym.
Go to a gym?
I go to the LA Fitness in Lay Hill.
Oh,
So,
man of the people.
yeah.
Just out there at the LA Fitness.
Yeah, if anyone wants to come interact with me, LA Fitness, I like to go
Do you do any
like an hour before
campaigning?
it closes.
While you're there?
That feels like a line.
Does feel
Yeah.
like a line. I agree with that.
Yeah.
What about crypto? Are you doing any crypto investing?
Yeah, I had a little bit of Bitcoin in 2017.
Really?
I listened to a podcast with John McAfee where he said
He went crazy.
Yeah, and he said he was going to do a crazy thing. You can Google it if Bitcoin didn't hit $100,000 by 2020. And he's so crazy, I believed it. And so I bought some Bitcoin. But then times became pretty tough in terms of my Splitwise debt. And so
Oh,
I
is this it?
sold my Bitcoin in
No, that's not it.
2024.
Damn.
Okay, that's pretty good. What is Splitwise debts? I don't.
Oh, you don't use Splitwise? You know Splitwise?
No.
Ah, this is not
Is
an
it
app
like
for Splitwise.
is it like Klarna?
No, it's like for you and your roommates, you like log all the debts that you owe to each other,
Spending.
and then every month you settle
Get
up.
some household debts you had to pay off with Bitcoin. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to do that. I had to do that when I was your age with my sports gambling account.
I was gonna ask if you sports bet.
I do not. Well, I've done some of the promotions.
What does that mean?
You know, they have these like promotions where it's like a risk-free bet to
Is
like
it
get you in
is
and
it
get
legal
addicted.
in Maryland?
It's recently legal in Maryland.
Joking? Are you for that or against that?
It's a tough issue because on one hand I want to fund schools, and we do need the revenue to fund important programs. On the other hand, it's deeply corrosive to society.
You've got to make a decision though. Are you for? Would you be for banning sports gambling in Maryland?
I mean, it's legal now, so there's not much. I am against the effort to legalize iGaming, which is like not even just
That's
betting on
fine.
sports, but betting, like roulette on your
Yeah,
phone.
that's insane.
That,
doing
that,
that on your phone.
that seems probably
But in
bad.
the free state of Maryland, people should be able to gamble on the Ravens game if they want to. I would think.
Yeah, I'm pretty conflicted. Give me an argument for. It sounds like you're
Well,
against.
it's a free. No, I'm for it.
Oh, you're
It's a
for it,
free
you're for it.
It's a free fucking country. And
Sure.
if I want to fucking put $20 on whether the Ravens are going to cover the -3.5 spread with I should be able to do that. You know, without the man telling me that I can't. I understand there's some social consequences to it. There's social consequences to a lot of things, though. I don't need Daddy Maryland telling me what I can and can't do with my resources. No.
Yeah, it's a fair argument. It's a fair argument. I just think, you know, you talk to some of our fellow gents, and it's like, wow, this is.
Some people get in deep, no problem. I definitely would be for. I think that like restrictions, regulations, like should the fucking leagues, like have their own, be able to have their own. Platforms that they're using, should we be advertising them during the game?
Yeah, I mean,
should ESPN be like in the middle of the game? It's like right now, if you bet right now and you bet on the live line, like no, I'm for.
That stuff is dystopian,
promotional,
I think.
just like you on the packs, like promotion, like restrictions, limits. But the banning of it, I don't know.
Well, because we had twice elected DNC Vice Chair Malcolm Kenyatta on, and Malcolm Kenyatta was talking about how there's fucking Pennsylvania transit policy that's getting affected by FanDuel going in and fucking around. And I try to watch the baseball playoffs. I pay $30 a month for the MLB Pass, but it turns out the MLB Pass gets you most of the games during regular season, except for the Friday night game that's on Apple TV and a couple of them that are on fucking FanDuel. But then the MLB Pass doesn't get you the postseason. There has been a balkanization, and I use that word very intently, of sports, where you now have to have 20 fucking streaming services to watch the sport that you want to watch. And it's fucking insane. I believe in a state-owned network where every fucking sports game is available. It's going to be run by the people who Zoran is hiring to run this grocery stores. We're going to give them a second job where they're going to run the biggest sports network of all time. We're going to add AEW. It's going to be tremendous. A lot of people are telling me, the top people are telling me that it's one of the best ideas they've ever heard.
It is. You had me on this rant because I'm so fucking annoyed that NBA League Pass is on Amazon now, and so I have to scroll over to Amazon to get the Nuggets games. I want to go back and forth. You can't go back and forth. Back in my day, you know, we walked uphill to school both ways, you know, and we also were able just to churn from channel 4 to channel 7. We didn't have to go into a new application. I don't like that. I don't want the communist solution though.
I hope that someone adds some patriotic music behind Camp Speed.
Dante, you know what to do.
I'd like to hear some American, some bald eagle screeches.
Do you have any MMA thoughts?
I love MMA.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know nothing about MMA. I just want a hot take about anything. Just educate me. Tell me a fighter you like or anything.
I just think this stuff is it's cathartic and it's I think it's good for the country to watch.
Have you been to an MMA fight?
I've not been to one. No.
Would you?
No, I don't think I.
You don't live far from DC, so you can go see the one at the White House.
Right. That's an interesting point. Yeah. If they ever become a little less Republican, maybe I can score a seat next to like Gavin Newsom or whoever they start inviting.
The only thing I've learned about, do you have a favorite MMA fighter?
I mainly just watch it when my friends have it on,
like
and just
a
like
spectator.
Yeah,
thing.
it's like Coliseum.
I know nothing about. The only thing I learned is I might be getting his name wrong. Who cares? I think it's Peyton Talbot. And he was doing.
That sounds like the name of a conservative 20-year-old who's trying to follow up Charlie Kirk. Like the new Charlie Kirk is 21-year-old private jet rider Peyton Talbot. Sorry.
What's up?
The only reason I know anything about him is because I was, in my Instagram For You page, and it kept showing me this one MMA fighter. And
Who?
I was like, why do I think I'm gonna like this MMA fighter?
Too late. You're already there now.
He looks good. It's good, but I don't.
No, not that I'm aware of. I am streaming, but I don't.
He's a little so I was like, maybe
Oh, apparently 5 people are watching,
Chinese
but one of them's me, so it doesn't count.
Zuckerberg
One of them
just
doesn't
knew I
count.
would like him. And then
They're not saying
I
anything,
finally
though.
clicked on him, and I realized why it kept being posted. It was because him and Frank.
I like how you
Ocean
moved out of the camera, even though you were
he's-
already in
he's
there. It's too late.
bisexual, And him and Frank Ocean have been having a little fling, and I like Frank Ocean's music, and I like, gay fling content, and so he's my new MMA fighter. I haven't watched any of his fights yet, but I'm
That's her
riding
choice?
with Peyton Talbot.
Good
I
choice.
think that's his name. I don't know.
Everybody, you heard it here first, folks. Matt, before we let you go, I do want to ask: do you have a sport?
I want
that you're
someone
like
to do
a
all my
super
homework
fan
for
of,
me
or
is
you
what I
too
want.
Politics nerd for that.
I really like the
Be nice.
Ravens.
I'm
It's
sorry to
been
hear
a
that.
rough start for the
Yeah.
Ravens.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
Is Lamar coming back anytime? What's the injury? Is he gonna be back? Do we know?
Who knows? Who knows? But I think I'm feeling good.
They looked
I'm
so
feeling
good week 1.
I'm feeling good. I think
Why?
it's a little bit of a blip.
How could you be feeling good? This feels like a politician answer.
This is the blind hope that we were talking about earlier.
You
I
guys
think you gotta feel this across all.
Are you guys
aspects of
AFC
life.
North?
Okay.
I mean, a couple weeks ago, it was like, oh my God, who's going to take the AFC, the Bills or the Ravens? And one thing that if I were ever hypothetically a member of Congress, I would do is designate the Buffalo Bills as a domestic terror organization. Fuck
Like
the
Antifa?
Bills. Worse than Antifa.
Root them out.
Well,
Root
the
and
difference
branch?
is Antifa doesn't have a leadership structure. Antifa doesn't have a headquarters. I can tell you exactly who runs the Bills and where their headquarters are, and I think we should keep an eye on them.
I thought it was George Soros.
I guess I disagree with that.
You heard it here first, folks. Everybody, Matt Post is running for state legislature.
State House delegates.
State House delegates. Go check out his website. And is there a contact page on your website?
For young ladies or for?
No, for grandmas. For grandmas to
grandmas.
build the connection.
My DMs are open for questions about policy
Yeah, they
and you know,
Questions about
questions
policy.
about problems facing the district.
DM's open.
Stay tuned for more. Well, there's no more
Slide
actually.
in.
Get the fuck out, everybody.
Slide right in. See ya.
On a playground where everything is padded and a playground where you can't get hurt, you never get a chance to learn how to not get hurt. We've overprotected children in the real world, and then the other half is we've underprotected them online. They literally spend most of the day on screens, and so they're getting stimulus response dopamine.
So you're saying not before the age of 16? I mean, that's you trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Oh, sure, I realize that, but you know what?
He's like, guess what? You can get toothpaste back in the tube.
This is Star Talk, special edition. Neil deGrasse Tyson here, your personal astrophysicist. And if it's special edition, it means we have Gary O'Reilly. Gary.
Neil.
All right, dude.
Yeah.
Former soccer pro, soccer announcer,
Yes.
and Chuck Nice.
Hey, what's happening, guys?
There you go.
And that's it. We don't need anything else. It's just like former soccer pro and then Chuck.
And Chuck.
And Chuck.
Someone hug that man.
Yeah, he needs a hug. Are you a former professional anything is the question.
Yeah, I'm a former professional. Listen, I make the mortgage payment.
Keep the family warm and dry.
Exactly.
All right. So, Gary, you did a lot of homework on this with your production team.
Yeah.
What have you put together?
Well, Lane Unsworth, who's over in our LA office, and I were sort of noodled on this, and simple question just popped straight up. Is social media bad for us? Now,
Yes. Okay. Next show.
right,
We're done here.
That's it. Goodbye, everybody. Hopefully it's not, but because some people love it, some people need it, or is it bad for us? Do we need it? Is it something we can do without? Today we'll be talking about the impacts social media has had on the younger generations. I mean, we've got the first generation of kids raised with social media and now grown up.
And the world is so much better off.
Exactly.
Oh,
So
things have just gotten so good.
now, with that little sprinkling of sarcasm, what better than a group of older men to discuss exactly this point and bring it thought? Because is there an anxious generation that is beginning to find its way into society? Are they more anxious than generations in the past? If so,
Found it. All right.
is there something that can be done about
It was
it?
Nightbot.
So for
I
those
forgot I had
questions, we need a guest who has a specific
Expertise.
in this field.
And
So
and
please.
I'd be delighted to introduce our guest. It is the one and only Jonathan Haidt. And Jonathan, he's a social psychologist at NYU's Stern School of Business.
Right.
And what else do I have him here? He heads the Tech and Society Lab. So whatever is his psychological dimension, he's
Erica
looking at
Chenoweth
what role
from my
tech
hometown, University of
plays
Dayton.
in this. His most recent
Nice.
book is, it's got a long title here. Let me get it right.
Sitting comfortably.
The Anxious Generation: How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness.
Ooh.
Came out 2024.
Excellent.
Now,
Oh, actually,
I
I'm
am
going to put this. I'm going
delighted
to watch this
to have
next.
Jonathan Haidt on our show. Jonathan, welcome to Star Talk.
Thanks so much, Neil. Great to see you again, and great to meet Gary and Chuck.
Yes, I've admired your work ever since I stumbled on one of your videos where you explored the political divide that influenced the research conducted in your field. And I just thought it was insightful. I was a little drawn in because he used some astronomical references.
Oh,
so I thought that was
gotcha. He gotcha.
He got me.
You had me at Galaxy.
And so at the time he was at the University of Virginia, and you've since moved to New York City. Great to have you in the backwoods here. And so let me just start out. Wait, I have a bone to pick. Okay?
Pick away.
So he and his co-author on a previous book of his invited me to write a blurb for it, which I did.
All right.
But then I wasn't asked again. so I don't know, maybe the sales of the book, I don't know. I just thought I'd put that out there.
See, you're not used to that.
Oh,
Take it from somebody who that's common practice.
So Jonathan, what are your data sources to arrive at such a conclusion? Other than just being grumpy old man on a porch and the next generation is not like us. Tell me, what are your sources? Hasn't there always been a disturbed subset of every generation trying to adjust to the new world that they're birthed into? So where are you drawing your not just your ideas, but your data?
So thanks, Neil. So in the social sciences, we have to think about multiple sources of evidence. And the clearest, we have some pretty hard data when you look at these longitudinal studies. So the US government has done a great job of supporting surveys. Some go back to the 1970s. So we can see the various trends in mental health. Now this is self-reported, you know, a 9-point depression scale, a question about anxiety. And those numbers move up and down a little bit from the 90s through 2010, 2011. They're very, very stable. And then all of a sudden, it's like someone flipped a switch somewhere. And right around 2012, 2013, you get an elbow. And then those graphs line go shooting up. It's not for everything. It's not that Gen Z says we're messed up on everything. It's very focused on anxiety and depression, what we call internalizing disorders. And it's the same thing for self-harm, including hard numbers on hospitalizations. If you look at the CDC tracks why people go into hospitals. All of a sudden, starting around 2012, 2013, the number of girls especially who are checking into or going to emergency room because they cut themselves so severely goes up 50 to 150% depending on the subgroup that you're looking at. So we have some pretty hard data. I also came at it because as a college professor, around 2014, 2015, a lot of us noticed, wait, something is really strange here. You know, we thought we understood college students. We thought we understood the millennials. They enjoy jokes about sex. They want to have fun in class. They want to go out drinking. But all of a sudden, the students that were coming in around 2014, 2015, much more anxious, much more easily offended. Words like microaggressions and bias response teams, and trigger warnings, they weren't there in 2012, and they were everywhere by 2015. So it was direct observation. It was federal surveys. It's the reports of people in business who are hiring Gen Z. And when I saw that the same trends were happening in the UK and Canada and Australia at the same time, that's when I knew something big is happening here. You know, if it's just the US, maybe, you know, Obama did something or said something. Like, you know, you can make up 100 theories if it's just the US. But if all the English-speaking countries go through the same mental health collapse at the same time, in the same way, that is it's much sharper for girls, there has to be some factor working that is cross-national. And that's what led me, and I should also give credit to Jean Twenge, the professor who first really identified those graphs, those changes. That's when Jean and I started thinking technology is the most likely cause.
So when you look at this and you see this crumbling of mental health in this generation, what other effects are being noticed? Has that spiked as well, or is it just this particular area?
So there is a pervasive set of changes, and the best way to sort of put them all together, I found it very useful in my previous book to think about our minds are organized to go into certain configurations very quickly. And so the clearest one, we can call it defend mode. When there's a threat, your brain, a lot of systems organized to do fight or flight. So let's call that defend mode. You can be in a defensive position. The opposite of that is called discover mode, where you look like you come into a room and there's all these great toys to play with, or you're a kid in a candy shop. And the more technical terms for those in psychology are the behavioral inhibition system, BIS, which is the defend mode, and the behavioral activation system, BAS, which is discover mode. And we're used to thinking of college students as being mostly in discover mode. You know, girls just want to have fun. But all of a sudden, if you're born after 1995, on average, you're shifted over to defend mode. And what that means
What
is
happened?
it's not just that you're anxious and depressed. Most of them are not anxious and depressed, but what I'm saying, like, well, for the girls, the numbers are in the 30s. 30% or so have anxiety or depression.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It is huge. It is gigantic. It is normal for American girls. If you're a teenage girl, it is normal that you have been thinking about suicide. About 20% say that they've thought about suicide in the last year. So this is now the new normal.
One viewer.
But what this goes
No,
along
it's
with
just me.
is a general sense of threat in the world, a reluctance to take risks, and a lot of surveys and behaviors bear this out. Gen Z is very bad at risk taking. Now, let me make clear, none of this is a criticism of them. Building on what Greg and I argued in the Coddling the American Mind, we overprotected the hell out of them. We never let them out of our sight. We never let them go out onto the playground without someone watching and blowing a whistle and saying, no running, don't push. You know? So we did this to them, and it was the combination of the overprotection in the real world where they need to grow up and get tough.
Just to be clear, when you say we are the age that have kids that age right now. That's
Exactly.
what you're referring
That's
to.
right.
Because I have,
That's right.
I have one born in '96 and one born in 2000. So they're right
Yep,
in line.
That's right.
Here.
You have older Gen Z. That's right. So
yeah.
it's we as a society, and it's we as parents.
Jonathan, I saw some of this earlier where I started noticing the playground surface had cushions.
Sponges. Spongy.
Because when I grew up, there was cement at the bottom.
What do you want to moat with
nails
crocodiles
and broken
snakes?
glass.
Nails and broken glass.
Yeah, I mean,
And we liked it that way.
Yeah, that's how we.
Okay, back to the game.
Remember the old days.
But it didn't occur to me that I could fall and not get hurt. Because that was not an option, right? You just didn't fall.
Right.
So
He was on the playground, and routinely someone would scream out, "Medic!"
So I'm just wondering if the seeds of this were not already in place even before the internet mattered.
Absolutely. So there's two parts to the story. The book is about how we overprotected children in the real world, and that begins in the 1980s, you're right. And then the other half is we've underprotected them online. And while that begins in the 1990s, it really super accelerates between 2010 and 2015. And we'll come back to that. But in terms of the overprotection, so in the 1980s, we had the insurance crisis. We had lawsuit fever. Everybody sued anybody if anybody got hurt. So, for example, I had the high school record in my high school for the pole vault, and I was shocked to discover that I still hold the record when I went back to my high school. And the reason is not because I was so great. It's because soon after I graduated high school in 1981, everybody was suing everybody, and they canceled the pole vault because it's too dangerous. So the 80s really is a time when we tried to make everything safe. Otherwise, we put padding down everywhere. But your insight about how you had to not fall on a playground where everything is padded and a playground where you can't get hurt, you never get a chance to learn how to not get hurt. But on a playground where you can get hurt, then you have to take responsibility, and by the time you have a couple years, you banged your chin a few times on the monkey bars, whatever it is, then you learn how to handle yourself. So risk turns out to be a crucial ingredient in a successful childhood. We have to let our kids take risks.
So
when I was in high school, I held the record for the number of slip and fall cases.
Well, that was an athletic event.
Exactly. Right.
So what you're talking about there, Jonathan, is the development of social skills, a development of a sort of armor, a veneer of mental protection. You know what? If I bang my chin on the monkey bar, okay, I'll need some help, but it's probably going to be okay. I'm going to be all right. I don't have to go into a panic mode and have a meltdown. We have lost that completely. Is this what you're saying?
It is. So there's a key concept called anti-fragility. if you're anti-fragile. So if you're fragile, like an egg, you got to treat it gently or it'll break. But if you're anti-fragile, this is a term coined by my NYU colleague Nassim Taleb. If you're anti-fragile, then you actually need a bunch of crises, problems, even threats, things that you have to deal with that make you tougher and stronger. And so the immune system is the perfect example of that. If you're a parent, you protect your kid's immune system. Don't let them be out in dirt or germs. I don't want any bacteria to touch my child. You're crippling the development of the immune system because the immune system needs repeated exposures to pathogens in the environment to develop the antibodies. And in the same way, life on this planet for all living creatures has always been tough, and most of them have died prematurely. I mean, this is not, life is serious stuff. And so children have to go through a developmental process, mastering small threats and difficulties first, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they can wander further and further from home base, from their parents. We block that. We stop letting them do that, beginning in the 1980s, but it really accelerates in the 1990s.
You know, the universe operates on elegant principles, from quantum mechanics to cosmic evolution. But what happens when you want to explore the deeper questions that keep you up at night? Claude is the AI thinking partner for curious minds who love diving into complexity. Whether you're modeling stellar formation or exploring the intersection of physics and philosophy, Claude helps you dive deeper into the cosmic puzzles that fascinate you. Try Claude for free at claude.ai/StarTalk and see why the world's best problem solvers choose Claude as their thinking partner.
I hate to sound like a psychological idiot here, but could you just spend a moment defining for me what happens in the behavior of an anxious person? If somebody's, why is anxiety always, not always, but often paired with depression? Why should one have anything to do with the other?
Yeah. So fear is perhaps the original emotion in the animal kingdom.
Yeah, my stream's like
You
a
have
minute
to have an
behind.
emergency response. So that's
Talk about
fear.
some lag.
Very, very, very well understood. Very important for survival when there's a real threat. But fear has multiple parts to it. And one of them is the alarm system, let's call it. You're scanning the environment for what could be a threat. And that is almost entirely learned. Now, there's some threats or some fears like snakes, where we haven't evolved preparedness. We very, very easily learn to be afraid of snakes, as other primates do. But for the most part, it's learned. So your parts of your brain are always monitoring the environment for threats and opportunities. And that's normal. And if you're in an area where you've been attacked before, you're on high alert. And that might make sense if there really is danger there. But what happens if your brain gets set so that almost anywhere new, it's thinking, danger, danger, be on alert, be on alert. That's going to raise your cortisol levels. That's going to put you in defend mode. You're not going to learn as much. You're not going to be open to making friends. You're going to be in a very defensive posture. And that will wear you down. And it also obviously destroys your quality of life. If it gets more severe, if you get actual panic attacks, if you are anxious, and then like a car backfires and you jump, you freak out because your brain is acting like you're about to be attacked. You can't live your life that way. It's going to wear you down. Now, what is known in clinical psychology is that depressive disorders and anxiety disorders tend to go together. And that's not just in experience, it's also genetically. Some people are prone to be depressed and anxious, and it'll depend on what their life circumstances are. And some are much less likely to be that. And both the genes, whatever the common genes are, they support both depression and anxiety disorders. And so when someone is depressed, they tend to be anxious. And if somebody's anxious for a long time, they're more likely to be depressed, although not necessarily. Most people who have an anxiety disorder aren't depressed.
Okay.
So you call your book The Anxious Generation. I'll just see it into the briefest part. How much more anxious are you seeing this current generation? And is it as simple as saying it's the parents' fault, it always is, or it's technology's fault? Or is there a crossover? Are there other aspects to this particular scenario?
So I'm a social psychologist who studies
Never
morality,
any one thing.
And
It's always a
and how
combination.
people make moral judgments. And if you see one person do something bad, you can blame that person. You might think, well, that's a bad person. But if all of a sudden everyone starts doing something bad, you've got to say, wait, why is everyone doing it? It can't be that everybody suddenly turned bad. And the key idea at the heart of the anxious generation is that the tech companies have put us all into a series of collective action problems. So I might say to my daughter, no, you cannot have a smartphone. It's bad for you. And then she would say, but everyone else has one. This is what we all hear as parents. Everyone else has one. And this puts pressure on you to give in too. And so the tech companies, both for the smartphone, but especially for social media, have engineered it, and we know this from internal things that they said and documents we've got from them. They want to play upon adolescent fears so that they're not missing out. They really play upon the intense adolescent fear of fear of missing out. So we cannot, I mean, of course parents should set boundaries. Of course parents have ultimate responsibility. But the environment in which we're trying to raise our kids now is so full of temptations, addictions, and engineered social pressures that most parents they find themselves unable. So I do not blame parents for this. I blame first and foremost a few tech companies.
Is there any way that we can blame the children?
but Jonathan, not to pick a fight, but in those tech companies are people with exactly the psychological training you have, and they are now exploiting these weaknesses for their financial gain. These are your brethren. Dare I make that declaration?
No, you're absolutely right. A lot of social psychologists, when they would get their PhDs 10, 20 years ago, would go work in Silicon Valley. Now let's remember that from the 90s through the mid-2010s, most of us were techno-optimists. Most of us thought these companies are amazing. Google, Apple, Facebook. We thought these were amazing. They're going to bring peace on earth. So there was a more mission, and I need to be careful. I don't want to make it sound like tech companies are full of evil people. That is definitely not true.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay, they're all bastards.
You're totally fine there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, many social psychologists and developmental psychologists went to work for them, especially in marketing. But we know that a lot of them have a little bit of knowledge. They talk a lot about dopamine. Even engineers will mention dopamine. They know that they're trying to arrange the pattern of dopamine hits and reinforcements. When Frances Haugen, the Facebook whistleblower, when she brought out thousands of photographed screenshots of internal reports, there was it was a presentation on brain science. And they showed, here's the adolescent brain. Frontal cortex is the last part to myelinate, to kind of lock down into the adult pattern. So the emotion centers are changing first. Younger teens are very emotional. They don't have a lot of self-control or restraint. And so they know that that's really the sweet spot. Early teens is a really good time to hook kids. And even though the minimum age is supposed to be 13, they widely disregard that. They have all kinds of plans, we know, to try to get it into kids' play dates when they're much younger than 13. So this was a very deliberate effort driven by, well, in a sense, the tech companies were in a collective action too. Because if Meta doesn't grab all the 10-year-olds, then TikTok will. So there's a race to the bottom, and the victims are the kids. So no, Chuck, I'm not going to blame the kid. You are a monster.
But you used a word that was unfamiliar to me. Something about the formation of your frontal lobe. What was the word you used there?
Myelination.
Yeah, what is that? Myelination.
Okay, so an amazing thing about the human brain is that it reaches 90% of full size by the time a kid is 6. Okay, so you got these big-brained creatures, and then the rest of development is not growing. Your brain isn't really growing after that. What's actually happening is you got all these neurons packed in, way more than you're going to have as an adult. And then you have experience, lots and lots of experience. You try things, you do it over and over and over again. And the neurons that you use to do that thing, we say neurons that fire together, wire together. So if you practice archery, or if you practice running, or pole vault, or anything, you do it over and over again, the neurons that are used over and over again are going to form a much faster circuit. And that's both connecting, the dendrites and axons are going to get better connections. And over time, once it's clear, this is a circuit you need, then you get, if anyone remembers their high school biology, in a nerve cell, in a neuron, you have the cell body, and then you have this long thing called the axon, which runs out to the dendrites of the next neuron. And that sheath, it's not exactly an electrical signal, it's more of an electrochemical sort of run. and it gets coated with a fatty material called myelin. It's kind of like an insulating cable. And so once you put down that insulation, now it's going to be faster, but now it's kind of locked in. Okay, this is what that neuron is going to do for the rest of your life. So
it's like
this period,
you're kind of creating grooves in a record.
Perfect. That's right. Grooves in a record, or snow. Like when you go down, you're sledding down a hill, and if it's a virgin snow, it's kind of slow going, but then you got paths. That's right. Grooves in a record is a good one.
Yeah, but that means it would be hard, if not impossible, to rewire that if that sheathing ossifies. That's the wrong word here, but that sheathing memorializes something that's either not good for you or just outright false in your mental patterns.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But you have but rewiring is a word in your subtitle of your book.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right.
Square that puzzle here.
Sure. So let me just bring in first the concept of a sensitive period. So if you are not exposed to language until you're 13, if you're kept in a closet, as a couple people have been in human history, you'll never learn to speak because you've missed the critical period.
I think I've done quite well.
They just let you out.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doug.
Just as the key idea is that different parts of the brain, it's like, okay, it's your turn to wire up now. And when you're, 1, it's the walking and reaching. When you're, 3 to 7, it's a lot of language. And social development is a little later, more like, 6 or 7 through puberty. Puberty is an incredibly important sensitive period for brain development. Kids enter puberty with a child's brain, too many neurons, not enough myelin, and they leave puberty with an adult brain, much more functional, now locked into place, so now much harder to rewire. So if you don't get it right during puberty, there's a good chance that this is going to be your setting for life. And that's why it is so important that we not have children on social media in puberty. Wait until 16. We have to have a minimum age of 16, let them get through puberty, because the social development, that happens on the playground. You're arguing, you're cooperating, you're making up. You do that thousands and thousands of times. You get a well-functioning social brain. But our kids are not doing that now. They literally spend most of the day on screens. They literally spend less than half the time that they used to with their friends. And so they're not getting that experience. They're getting stimulus response dopamine. They're getting trained by these companies, by the algorithms and the presentation of stimuli. And this is warping. That's why I say this is rewiring their brains. And I also say that childhood has gotten rewired because sort of the whole set of inputs and outputs that make up a healthy human childhood, which is going to involve a lot of frustration, cooperation, excitement, sunshine, conflict. You need all these things, and if you take out most of it and replace it with TikTok videos, you've rewired childhood.
Okay, so the delivery system for all of this negative impact is, I would say, a smartphone, more or less, rather than a laptop or a desktop. They're built, the graphics are built, the audio is built, all to grab and work with your neural pathways and hit the dopamine fix all the time. So you're saying not before the age of 16. I mean, that's you trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube. You realize that when you say 16.
Oh, sure. I realize that. But you know what?
He's like, guess what? You can get toothpaste back in the tube.
Well, let's do it.
I mean, you can do it.
That's right. If your children's life depended on it, would you put toothpaste back in the tube?
I'd make a bloody good go at it, yes, for sure.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah, I will say this, too, just as a reinforcement to what you said, the liquor companies and the tobacco companies and any drug dealer knows that you got to get them when they're young.
Brand loyalty.
Including, and the Catholic Church.
Well, any evangelical.
Well, the Catholic Church has a saying that give me a child by the age of 4 and I'll give you a Catholic for life.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, no other
okay.
religion
That's
has that
the
saying.
phrase.
So, that's the phrase.
So, Jonathan, let me be a devil's advocate here. In fact, I don't even think the devil
I don't think you want
believes
to take
this,
the Catholic Church's advice on children.
Let me just
Just
offer a
saying.
counterpoint. We are of an age where we played in the playground. We had play dates, and we you know, with that there was a social interaction, and just as you listed, you have to negotiate, you have to recover from if something was unpleasant. These are, at the right age, these are important social skills we develop. The next generation does not have that. Mental illness notwithstanding, can't we just say they have a different skill set that's not what was our skill set? And they will do different things with that skill set as they come up in the ranks of society. And they might invent new things that is accessible to their brain wiring that for our brain wiring would be unthinkable. Why isn't it just different rather than lesser than what was here before?
So 10 years ago, that's what a lot of people thought. And 10 years ago, it was possible to hope for that. There was a phrase, digital natives. These kids are digital natives. Who knows what amazing things they're going to do? And I remember when I first saw Twitter, and I saw kids where, young people were, tweeting, just had a hamburger. And I think, well, that's stupid. But then I thought, you know what, wait a second. If they're doing little micro interactions with dozens and dozens of people every day, maybe they're going to be super social. Maybe they're going to have amazing social skills. So that you could believe that back then. That's not what happened. What happened instead is that I think what we've learned is that we are a species, several million years old, depending on how you want to count it, hundreds of thousands or millions of years old, that has a certain developmental process that we have to go through. And you could try to short circuit that. You could try to put it all on a screen. I suppose in theory, we might have thought, why make kids walk? Just show them an instructional video, and they'll learn walking from an instructional video. We might have thought that 20 years ago, but it doesn't work. The way that our brain wires up requires this physical interaction with the environment. And so that's why we're seeing, I don't know anything that Gen Z is coming out better on. Let me not say, but they drink less, they smoke less, they drive less, they take fewer risks, and many people say, oh, isn't that great? No. The reason that they don't do anything dangerous is that they're generally anxious and they spend so much time just sitting alone with the screen.
I never thought of that, because when we were kids, there was always the tough kids who smoked.
Right.
Yeah. Where did they get the cigarettes? Where did they get the alcohol? They're the ones that waited outside the liquor store for an older person to help them out. So that, in a way, that's risk taking, or at least exposure to risk taking. So I never put it together the way you just said it, where that is a way of stepping into places that are either unfamiliar or carry risk. And if none of that's there, where is my training to ever do that for the rest of my life? So I'm intrigued by that. Thanks for making that now retrospectively obvious connection.
That's why I let my 12-year-old hang out at the state prison.
He can learn everything he needs to learn. But how about the other side of this? And I know you've thought about it or studied it, that if you go on Facebook in its early days, or any of these places, you find community. There are people who might have been social outcasts, for maybe they had a weird interests, or they were just, and they would find others who were just like them, who were not their neighbor or went to the same school, because their condition was rarer than that. And so they go through society, maybe internationally, and they have people they can hang out with, at least socially, on the internet. That had to have some positive consequences, didn't it?
Yes, what you're describing is the internet in the 1990s. The internet was amazing. And to this day, most people love the internet. And one of the big things the internet did is what you just said. For all kinds of kids from different groups. So the internet is amazing. There's some downsides, but the internet is amazing. And whenever I hear people say, oh, but they find community, oh, it's an outlet for expression, I say, yes, the internet is, but if kids have the internet, how does their life get better when you put them onto a platform in which algorithms feed them content from strangers that was selected because of the extreme emotional response that it got from other people? And yes, they're connecting in a sense, in that they're looking at people's lives.